Asavakit, mun rakistan tu, mä rakastan sua. Jeg älskar dig, eller jeg antar. Jag älskar dig. Jag älskar dig. Jag älskar dig. Jag älskar dig. There's a variety of ways to say I love you in Norden today in languages from 3 different language families. Indo-European, in the case of Icelandic, Faroese, Norwegian, Swedish, and Danish. Uralic, in the case of Sami and Finnish. And Eskilut, in the case of Kalaallisut, Greenlandic. Now, 1,000 years ago, you wouldn't have said this in anything like exactly the same way. The word that the modern Scandinavian languages, Indo-European Scandinavian languages use, älska, does not really occur much in Old Norse. It occurs sometimes later, and so it seems to be a word that kind of gets introduced later or comes to mean love late. I'm not even exactly sure where it comes from. It seems to maybe be related to a Gothic word, alion, that means like jealousy, or perhaps the Old English word ellen is in the same related group of words. That means courage. So apparently it means some kind of emotional experience. So älska may just be initially like I have strong feelings, whether that means jealousy or courage or love, and gets specialized in the last 1,000 years toward meaning actually just love. Icelandic has this alternative way of saying I love you, jeg an þér, which actually originally means I grant something to you, something beneficial. This word is related to a word that's in the closely related language Gothic, ansts, means grace, like God's grace. It's in fact, the main way this word comes up in the Gothic Bible. It also comes up in the sense of God's grace in Old English, where it's Gottes est. And it's ultimately related to words for things like shelter, protection, being guarded in other Indo-European languages. So apparently just a sense of something like beneficial that one is granting. And the noun for love, like, this is my love or she is my love, in modern Icelandic, aust, that goes back actually to the same root. That is the exact cognate with Gothic ansts, where that N has been lost in the Scandinavian word before an S. But that N is the same thing you see in that verb, una. In the saga of Gísli Sórsson, you actually see someone talking about the ost, that you una someone. So pretty transparently saying jeg an þér, like I grant to you, there's like a left out noun there. I grant to you love. Jeg an þér aust in modern Icelandic, or in Old Norse, this is the normal way to say I love you, ek an þér, just a little bit different from the modern Icelandic. You could throw in that noun, ek an þér os, I grant you love. Now there's another verb that we see in Old Norse, frjó. This is obviously already archaic in the language of our normal Old Norse prose text, but we see it in some old poetry like Hávamál. This verb is frjó. It's from the same root as the English word friend. Also is the word friður, peace, but friður earlier on actually means love, and that's normally what it means in an archaic poetic text like Hávamál. In Gothic, that's also the normal word for love, frión, and there's a noun, friathwa, that means love. So this appears to be probably the earlier way to say it. So perhaps in the Viking Age, one would have said ek friathik, for I love you, rather than ek an þér. In modern day Swedish, jag friar actually does still exist, but it means I woo, right? I'm courting someone to love them instead. Hey folks, we'll be back to your regular presentation in a moment, but right now, I'm here at Grimfrost World Headquarters Longhouse with Johan Hegg, and I just want to remind you that if you have Viking needs, you have a Viking supplier. Grimfrost really cares about getting things right, and if you need replica, well, anything, right? Shields, helmets, weapons, board games, cool t-shirts, hats, all sorts of accessories like that. You can get them at grimfrost.com together with my books, and they ship just about anywhere in the world. So check them out. It does help support the channel. The word love, that's in other Germanic languages, West Germanic languages like English, that does not occur in Scandinavia. It does vestigially occur in Gothic like brothroluvo, brotherly love. But for whatever reason, this word is not used in Old Norse. The cognate lov means praise. So you can kind of see how those words would be related, right? Praise and love. But you don't have anything like English, I love you, or German, ich liebe dich. Although, by the way, that German word liebe, not exactly cognate with English love. That's derived from the adjective that shows up in Old Norse as ljúfur, so dear to me, beloved to me, etc. Speaking of dear to me, beloved to me, there's that Icelandic word kær, or for example, Norwegian kjære. You call someone dear, or you talk about your love. It's like your kærleikur in modern Icelandic, or your kærlighed in Danish, for example. That kær word is ultimately derived from Latin carus, dear, probably by means of a northern French dialect that Norse was in contact with. Something ancestral to, for example, modern French chéri, but probably a northern dialect that still said like kelly at some point. That word also doesn't show up in very old texts. The Finnish and Sami words that include, for example, the Finnish root rakas, the one that is beloved, that may also be from an old Germanic, i.e. Indo-European word, the one that's related to Old Norse fröken, bold, or freki, the eager one, the devouring one. That's actually the name of one of Odin's wolves. So presumably this comes from a sense of like, I have eager feelings, I have, perhaps devouring feelings about somebody. And then of course, the word enkalachlisut is from a completely different root altogether, because that is from a completely different language family. Well, if you wanted to say I love you in Norden today, I gave you a whole bunch of ways to do it. If you wanted to say it in Christian Iceland maybe 1,000 years ago, I would say ek anther would be the Old Norse of our sagas. Probably the Old Norse of the Viking Age, you might actually have said something more like ek friathik. And then 2,000 years ago in proto-Germanic, something ancestral to English and Old Norse and Gothic, you might have said ek friothek to use that one root, or ek anthis ansti, I grant you love, to use that root, or using the English root ek luvothek. There's a lot of different possibilities. It's interesting that there's not just one single root for love that shows up in all of these related languages. But love takes as many forms as the flowers here at my friends at Paulwood Florist in Fort Collins, a favorite local place. So thanks to them for letting me use their big flower freezer. And for now, from beautiful Colorado, I am granting you wishes of all the best.